Hey guys, how's it going? So I adjusted my mic, and I hope it's a little bit, not so loud anymore. If the mic is fine here, let me know. If it's too quiet, if it's still too loud, let me know. But I think this is fine. So I'll only take comments. I only really keep in mind comments that say it's still too loud, or rather, it's too quiet. Because I think this is plenty loud, or it shouldn't be louder than normal. Anyway, so what I want to about today is my a condition I have. I guess you could call it a condition. Is it a condition? I'm pretty sure it's a condition. But anyway, it's called autism, and you may or may not know about it. I can't even spell the freaking thing right. Um, but basically, I have a certain kind of autism. Autism is basically a social disorder that basically inhibits you from interacting in ways that many other people do. I'm gonna freaking Google search it for you because I don't have the definition off the top of my head. But I kind of want to talk about what it's like living with autism. I mean, it's not a horrible experience or anything, but so autism is described by ncbi.nlm.nih.gov as a developmental disorder that appears in the first 3 years of life and affects the brain's normal development of social and communication skills. Um, so it's a neural development. This is what Wikipedia says. It's a neural development characterized by impaired social interaction and communication and by restricted and repetitive behavior. These are all signs are all before a child is 3 years old. So to kind of substantiate my claim, when I was a little kid, like I think I was like 5 or 4, around the first 3 years of life, obviously. I would line up all my guys in a line, and if anybody knocked them down, I would just put them right back where I had them before. So very systematic, very organized. Um, so it is one of the 3 recognized disorders in the autism spectrum. The other 2 being Asperger's syndrome, which is what I have specifically, which lacks delays in cognitive development and language, and pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified, commonly abbreviated as PDD-NOS, which is diagnosed when the full set of criteria for autism or Asperger's syndrome are not met. So, so I'm going to read you Asperger's syndrome, which is basically is an autism spectrum disorder that is characterized by significant difficulties in social interactions alongside restrictive and repetitive patterns of behavior and interest. It differs from other autism spectrum disorders by its relative preservation of linguistic and cognitive development. Although not required for diagnosis, physical clumsiness and atypical use of language are frequently reported. So to substantiate those 2 things, yeah, as you can notice, I really have trouble sometimes illustrating what I mean to people. I gotta tell you, it's really hell sometimes trying to communicate to other people what I'm trying to communicate, what I'm trying to say to them. And this is another thing I'll do. When I get really emphatic about what I'm saying, I'll start using hand gestures for no real reason, even though the hand gestures don't have anything to do with what I'm talking about, and they're just used to emphasize my points. So sometimes I'll stutter on words. Sometimes people won't really be able to understand what I'm saying. Sometimes I'll just feel completely awkward about what I'm trying to talk about, and it's like on the tip of my tongue, but something in my mind is just blocking it. And that's basically my Asperger's. So if I ever talk to you in real life, and I seem kind of quiet, or I seem like not really quiet. I mean, you don't have to be. Typically, I think people with Asperger's are introverted, and I am introverted. But I won't get into that here. But it's worth pointing out, worth noting. But yeah, if you ever meet me and I'm trying to get something across to you and I just can't find the right words, it's not because I'm stupid or something. I just my cognitive development is very different from a lot of people's, I guess. And the way I internalize emotions is very different sometimes. The way I deal with situations is a lot more systematic, structural, logical than other people might. I can be so like my I've had fights with my girlfriend, and I'll just be coldly logical, and she won't like it at all, and she'll point it out, and I'll say this is part of who I am, and um yeah, I mean, I try to work on this stuff, but it's difficult. It's first world problems. I know, but these are difficulties in my life, and I do want to talk about them because they are a big part of who I am. I mean, a big part of who I am right now is where I am, which is the bus, and a big part of who I am is a disorder that I have, which is Asperger's syndrome. So, oh, this is interesting. It's named after the Austrian pediatrician named Hans Asperger. I didn't know that. In 1944, studied and described children in his practice who lacked nonverbal communication skills, demonstrated limited empathy with their peers, and were physically clumsy. Yeah, I have empathy problems. Well, not to an extreme extent. I do have empathy. Trust me, I do. You can just ask my girlfriend how much empathy I'm capable of, as well as many of my good friends. I can be a very empathetic person, but I have weird ways of showing it. I try to show empathy sometimes, and it's just really clumsy. Speaking of clumsiness, I'm really clumsy physically. I lack a lot of spatial awareness in my jobs that I've been doing. I mean, isn't this great? I'm just talking about all my flaws and all these things about that would make me not suitable for jobs right before I'm applying for jobs. So this is great, isn't it? But anyway, so I really lack spatial awareness. Like, it's really difficult for me to pay attention to, while I'm holding something, to pay attention to what's in back of me and what's in front of me. Like, case in point, like a few weeks ago, I knocked over part of a chimney. It's like the red part of the chimney. I don't know. It's a red piece or something. And I knocked it over as I was trying to carry a beam into my friend's house. And I just didn't see it. I didn't think about it. I was trying to concentrate on carrying it because I don't have a lot of physical strength. I don't know if anyone watching this has met me, but I don't have a lot of physical strength. I'm not really made for heavy lifting and stuff like that. But it's a relatively mindless task, and it's something I can do, even if I'm not terribly efficient at it sometimes. So yeah, I do have physical clumsiness, and empathy. Sometimes I can't do it very well. Sometimes things in my brain or chemicals in my body just block me, or however you want to explain it. It just blocks me from being as empathetic as I probably should be. And that's why I hate it. I really hate it when people say, you don't care about other people. You don't have emotions. You're a robot. Like, oh, I hate that. I really do, because it really hurts. It hurts because I do care about people. I care so much about a lot of people, and it's just so hard for me to tell them and to express it. I've written so many poems in my life about people I love and people I'm in love with, and for my girlfriend, and I just, it's my way of expressing my feelings. I'm a very physical person. Some people with autism or Asperger's syndrome are not very physical. Like, actually, ironically, my girlfriend's father is actually an Aspie too, but he doesn't like to be touched at all, as opposed to me, where I don't mind it as much, and I'm actually very touchy-feely with my girlfriend. You could say we do PDA, but not to an extreme extent. Anyway, that's getting off topic, but it is kind of related to this whole thing. So the exact cause is unknown, although research supports the likelihood of a genetic basis. I got to talk about this. My mom has Asperger's, and she never diagnosed herself. She never self-diagnosed herself. My little brother has Asperger's, and my biological brother, well, I've never met him long enough to really figure out whether he has Asperger's, but I don't think he does. I don't know, just from first impressions alone, I don't think he does. But I really think it's my mom. She has a lot of introvertedness and communication, not so much issues, but yeah, she definitely has it. I mean, knowing my mother like I do, I've known her for almost 20 years of for 20 years of my life. Oh, good God, I'm 20. Jeez, I just remembered that. God, I'm not even a teenager anymore. Anyway, sorry. So there is no single treatment, and the effectiveness of particular inventions is supported only by limited data. Invention is aimed at improving symptoms and functions. The mainstay, so most children improve as they mature to adulthood, but social and communication difficulties may persist. They do with me. Some researchers and people with Asperger's have advocated a shift in attitudes toward the view that it's a difference rather than a disability. Right, and that's what I think. It's not a disability. I mean, it does limit my abilities, but I wouldn't call it a disability in the same way that you're like mentally handicapped, or you're like you can't move a leg or an arm. It's not really the same thing. It's a limit, but it's a minor limit, I think, and it's one. A lot of people with Asperger's or in autism really actually been brilliant. Like, I think Einstein had autism, and I think like a lot of brilliant like artists and stuff like that of autism, like they tend to be very like art based and stuff like that. And although Lauren's father is actually very math based, but I don't know. I guess there can be differences. I'm not going to read the whole Wikipedia article for you, although it's not terribly long, but I don't really have the time. But anyway, I don't know. It's just Asperger's. You know, I never really realized I had it until I was like 13, 14, I think, and I read a book about it that my nana gave me to explain what autism and Asperger's was. I completely forget about the book. I need to read it sometime again. But yeah, that's really it. You know, I have improved a lot because of my anarchist views. I've improved a lot of my social interaction, mainly because you know it's just forced me to interact with other people and not be so shy and all this kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, I'm just really happy that that's happened because it's really had a positive impact on my life. So I don't want to get too carried away. I can talk more about this if people want, but that's the basic gist. I do have Asperger's, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm not really proud of it, but it's not something I'm ashamed of. Um, so there you go. I don't have trouble talking about it. Like I said, I'm generally an open person. This video channel until now has never really been about my personal life, but I'm starting to make it more personal, I guess. Um, so I think that's it. I'm gonna stop saying and I'm gonna shut off the video. So I will see you later. Take care.